Have you ever been in an unhealthy, toxic relationship? Or perhaps you've known someone who's been in one. It's not uncommon to turn on the news to hear of someone who's been murdered because of an abusive relationship. Imagine being a 10-year-old girl and you're suddenly awakened by a loud banging at your front door. And you hear the devastating news that your 19-year-old sister was murdered in front of her children by the man she was trying to leave. I was that 10-year-old girl, and my sister Carmen became a statistic that night. That day, my life was changed, and the seed was planted to become a licensed psychotherapist, and later the creator of Women Redeemed, which is an intensive group experience to help women heal their relationships. Sadly, it's not just adult women who suffer in silence. Men are too. But they're just too ashamed to admit that they're in an abusive relationship. Research shows that the quality of our relationships, personal or professional, can affect our immune system, our motivation, and our coping skills. Unhealthy relationships put us at a higher risk for health conditions such as cancer, heart disease, depression, and addiction. Sadly, those that are in toxic relationships will find themselves repeating the same harmful relationship over and over, moving from one bad relationship to another, because they don't know how to break the sabotaging pattern. Harmful and dysfunctional relationships don't all include physical violence. They also include abusive language, mental and emotional abuse, such as entitlement, objectification, manipulation, secrecy, control, lies, compulsive behaviors, and a lack of accountability. In order to understand healthy relationships, it starts in our childhood. Our childhood experiences will have an impact on our adult relationships. Some of us have hidden family secrets that nobody wants to talk about. My sister and I were raised by an emotional, neglectful, alcoholic father. I saw firsthand how this dysfunctional childhood had an impact on my sister's low self-esteem and self-worth, and why she was drawn to an abusive partner. I knew I didn't want this for myself, and that's why I was moved to do the work that I do. It is so rewarding to help adults understand the value of healthy relationships so that they can break the cycle and pass on healthy, loving relationships to their children. Everybody has the ability to change themselves if you're just willing to do the work. By learning how to love better, we can all learn how to love better by understanding the invisible forces that shape us. When working with clients, I focus on boundaries, patterns, and belief system. And this includes main pillars of healing: mindset, inner work, and the body work. First, let's start with mindset. I ask my clients to create a life map. This is a timeline of their entire life divided into two categories: their most positive memories and their most negative memories, along with all of their significant relationships, such as parents, teachers, and coaches. And this helps them to start separating their life events from their emotions so that they can clearly identify their core childhood wounds along with their sabotaging belief systems. Carolyn Leaf a neuroscientist who I had the privilege to interview on my show. She studied and researched toxic thoughts, and she proved that unless we address our belief systems, we'll stay stuck in the same unhealthy patterns, such as moving from one abusive relationship to another. But we can break these patterns if we learn to rewire our brain and create new ways of living. So the next pillar of healing is the inner work. This is about relationship trauma. Not everyone will experience an unhealthy relationship. So the reason behind this is to understand how significant roles of our childhood and the people that played in those roles, how they've affected and how they affect how we function in our adult relationships, such as an alcoholic father. Children that are raised in not healthy homes will experience 5 main wounds, and they will bring those into their adulthood: abandonment, abuse, betrayal, rejection, and shame. Children that have unresolved emotional trauma will bring those sabotaging belief systems into their future relationships. Childhood experiences and adult experiences can alter our biology, our thought processes, our behaviors, and our relationships. But they can also be altered in a healthy way. The third pillar of healing is bodywork, because we know the body keeps the score, according to the research of psychiatrist Besser van der Kolk. Our body can remember trauma and can hold events of the past. Trauma interferes with our ability to concentrate, to form healthy relationships. His insights into our survival instincts explains why some people that experience trauma in their history experience incomprehensible anxiety, numbing, and intolerable rage. And trauma can interfere with us feeling at home in our own bodies. Even if someone has experienced a lot of trauma in their history, we can harness the power of our body to heal our mind, and the power of our mind to heal our body. It is essential that this third pillar is developed into the healing process along with the inner work and the body work. Polyvagal exercises that engage the polyvagal nerve are very helpful. This nerve is part of the autonomic nervous system that manages risk and that creates patterns of connection. Trauma interferes with the building of the autonomic circuitry of safe connections and sidesteps the building of regulation and resilience. So clients that have trauma history, it will interfere with their ability to be able to regulate because they experience intense and extreme autonomic responses. So it becomes difficult to feel safe in relationships. A couple other examples of body work include physical activities such as cold therapy, yoga, breath work. Exercises like running, swimming, hiking, where our mind and our body are linked together in a safe place, can help widen the stress window tolerance. Meditation, which is the act of training our attention, can help us regulate our autonomic nervous system responses. Because we know the body keeps the score, it can show up in the form of cancer, heart disease, migraine, depression, and addiction. It's never too late to heal childhood wounds if we're just willing to do the work. We can learn how to love better by understanding the damaging, invisible forces that shaped how we were loved. We can break cycles of unhealthy relationships when we focus on the mindset, the inner work, and the body work. It's never too late. In this case, we can teach an old dog new tricks if they're just willing to do the work. Fortunately, I have witnessed numerous success stories of men and women willing to do the work and determined to do the work of the pillars so that they can move from unhealthy relationships to healthy relationships and break the cycle. One such client, she married her first love. She thought she found her Prince Charming and would live happily ever after. Sadly, he struggled with drug addiction, and he wasn't willing to give it up. And she stayed and tolerated his obsession with drugs for over 20 years until she realized she couldn't help him. She couldn't change him. Only he can do that for himself, and he wasn't willing to do so. Well, today she's happily married to the man of her dreams and all that she dreamt of. Another client, he found himself dating the same woman over and over again. He would happily enter a new relationship only to discover she was just as verbally and emotionally abusive as the woman he dated before. He just couldn't understand why he couldn't find a woman who was loving and kind. Well, today he is happily married, enjoying a successful career and living the life that he dreamt of because he worked on himself and his relationship issues. He successfully worked through the 3 pillars of mindset, the inner work, and body work. I think you'll all agree with me that everyone deserves to experience healthy relationships. And it starts with you and me. We can learn how to love better by understanding the invisible forces that shaped how we were loved. You may or may not have hidden family secrets, but your childhood plays a significant role in how you show up in your relationships, personally or professionally. We can break unhealthy cycles, unhealthy relationships, by doing the work of mindset, the inner work, and body work. It is never too late to live happily ever after.